Okay, we're going to be doing the benchmark study guide, grading period 4. We are reviewing 10.0, 11.0, and 12.0. We're going to start with 8 questions from 11.0, which would be factoring polynomials. We have a menu for this. The menu looks like this. Whenever you're asked to factor a polynomial, you follow this menu to the T. Go through every step. It's the law. All right, number 1, 16x to the 5th minus 24x squared. I'm going to look for a GCF. Hey, 16 and 24 both have a GCF of 2. Wait a minute, they both have a GCF of 4. Wait a minute, they both have a GCF of 8. I think that's the biggest factor I can pull out. Now, the most x's I can pull out from each of these is 2. I can't pull out more than 2 here, so I'm going to just pull out 2 from each of these. So actually, my GCF is 8x squared, because I can pull that out of here and here. So 8x squared times what equals 16x to the 5th? Well, 8 times 2 is 16. And if I have x squared here and I want it to equal x to the 5th, I need 3 more x's. Okay, now 8x squared times what is negative 24x squared? Well, a positive times a negative will give me a negative, so I know this is going to be negative. 8 times 3 is 24. I have 2 x's here, and I only need 2 x's here, so I don't need any more x's right here. So there's my answer. 8x squared times 2x to the 3rd minus 3. Now, this is not a special case. It's not a PST. It's not a trinomial. It's not dots, because it's not the difference of 2 squares. These are not square numbers. And since it's a binomial, if it's not dots, I'm done. That is your final answer for number 1. Number 2. First thing I'm going to do is look for a GCF. Let's see. This is 25 times 3. This has a factor of 5. This doesn't. Wait a minute. These both have a factor of 3. 3 times 4 is 12, and I still need 2 more y's. And 3 times negative 25 is negative 75. Now, I know I pulled out the biggest GCF because I know 4 and 25 don't have any factors in common, and this doesn't have any y's. But I can still factor some more, maybe. I pulled out my GCF. Now I'm going to look for special cases. This is not a PST because it's not a trinomial. But is it dots? Dots stands for the difference of 2 squares. Difference means subtract. 2, I have 2 terms here, and they're both squares. So this is the difference of 2 squares. The square root of this is 2y. The square root of this is 5. So when I factor the difference of 2 squares, it's sum and difference. Now don't forget to bring down that GCF. That's still part of your final answer. What are my 2 binomials that I'm going to have their sum here and then their difference here? Square root of 4y squared is 2y. That goes here and here. Square root of 25 is 5. That goes here and here. I'm done. Because these are binomials, the only way I can factor a binomial is if it's a GCF or it has difference of 2 squared. Well, I did both of those already. We're done. This is your answer. Okay, number 3. GCF. Let's see. I know 49 is 7 times 7. 7's not a factor of 16. 49 and 1. 49's not a factor of 16. I don't think there's a GCF. But we're going to look for special cases next. Well, it's not a PST because it's not a trinomial, but it's 2 terms. Subtracting means difference of 2 terms. And they're both square terms. 49p squared has a square root. It's 7p. And 16 has a square root of 4. So this I know if this is the difference of two squares, the way we factor that is SAD, and SAD stands for sum and difference. The first terms are the square root of this, which is 7p here and here, and the square root of 16 is 4. That goes here and here. We're done. And if you put these in a Punnett square and multiply them back together, you should get this, and that's a great way to check it. Number 4, GCF. Nope. Special case, is this a perfect square trinomial? Nope, it's a trinomial, but 15 is not a square number, so it's not a PST. It's not dots because it's 3 terms and not 2. The leading coefficient is not 1, is 1. It's not something other than 1. So when the leading coefficient is 1, we're going to do X-man. And A times C, A is 1, C is negative 15. Multiply them together, you get negative 15. B is negative 2. How do I make 15? Let's see, 15 times 1, 5 times 3, I think that's it. 5 and 3 are 2 apart, so let's look at those. If I'm going to multiply these and get a negative number, one of them has to be negative. And when I combine them, I'm going to have negatives left over. So I'm going to make my bigger number negative. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15, and negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. There's my two numbers. So this is what it's going to look like when I factor it. P here and here, negative 5 here, and positive 3 here. Bingo, we're done. Number 5, GCF. I originally wanted to say 3, but 3 is not a factor of 25. 25's only factors are 5, 25, and 1. 5 and 25 are not factors here, so there's no GCF. Is it a special case? Maybe. PST, it's a trinomial. This is a square term, and this is a square term because they both have a square root. The square root of 9x squared is 3x. The square root of 25 is 5. 3x times 5 is 15x, and if I double that, I get 30x, and that's my middle term. This is a PST, baby, and the way you factor a PST is with a binomial squared. Now, how are we going to find what goes in here? Square root of the first term is 3x, that goes here. Square root of the third term is 5, that goes here. The sign of the middle term is positive, and that goes here. And we are done. All right, number 6, GCF. Ooh, 15 and 25 both have a factor of 5. T to the 6th and t to the 3rd. I can pull 3 t's out of both of these. So 5 times what is 15? 5 times 3. And I have t to the 3rd here. I need 6 t's, so I need 3 more t's. 15t to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th power plus 5 times 5 is 25. I have 3 t's here. I don't need any more than that, so I am done. And I can't factor this binomial anymore because it's not dots, and I already took out the GCF. Those are the only two things I can do with a binomial. Number 7, 27. R to the 3rd minus 75r. GCF? Well, let's see. 29 is 3 times 9. 75 is 3 times 25. So they both have a factor of 3. I can't stop. No, just leave it. It's fine. I just can't talk. Thank you so much. They both have a factor of 3. 9 and 25 don't have any factors in common, so I'm thinking that 3 is probably my GCF. Let's see. 3 times what is... Oh, hold it, Leffler. There's something else that's a GCF besides just 3. I almost missed it.